Hi, Tuesday Simmons here. I would like to take a few moments of your time to talk to you about Yoni Steaming. The history of how long has it been around? Well, it's used in Ayurvedic medicine, which goes back over 5,000 years. Yoni Steaming has also been documented to have been used in over 50 countries throughout the world. And it's for all women at any stage of their life. There's benefit to steaming. Of course, the herbs would be varied for whatever's going on for you, and the amount of times you're recommended to steam. But even if you're just steaming yourself once a month at home, amazing. It's something that I feel really strongly about should be reintroduced. We should know about this medicine. We should know about how to help ourselves and other women. So some places that it's still commonly practiced: China and Korea, they still use it in hospitals there. So there have been some studies, quite a number of studies, done on its benefits. Unfortunately, most of those studies are in Chinese and Korean. However, I have read a few, and they make for really interesting reading. This is such a wonderful medicine, ladies. Where else? When I was training, I trained with a woman from Ghana. Steaming is used there as a part of a pre-wedding ceremony. So the bride is being prepared for her husband, her wedding night, and for fertility, for conception, which I guess traditionally most people would hope would happen soon after marriage. In Central America, it's used by traditional midwives, both around labour and postpartum. Postpartum is the area that I am going to speak to you about today. There are so many directions that I could go with this to tell you about. It's a fascinating but vast subject, so that's what we're going with today. In the Czech Republic, I believe it's just been reintroduced into hospitals. So once women's water has broken, then the nurse sits them on a steam stool, which relaxes the woman, relaxes and softens the cervix. And generally, if a woman is steamed soon after her waters have broken, then the baby's birthed within 6 hours. 6 hours. So that's quite an amazing result for all you ladies that have laboured on for hours and hours. What haven't I covered there? In Korea, it's called choyuk, and women will generally go once a month, just after a period, go along to a spa and have their steam there. So you can see in many places it's everyday life. So Yoni Steaming works on the physical. It can help with menopausal symptoms, irregular, painful periods. Scar tissue can be softened and healed with steaming. For those of you that have got scarring from an episiotomy or something like that, this can help to make you much more comfortable. It can help with recurring infections, yeast infections, cysts, fibroids, so many things that this is useful for. So that's the physical that it works on. But as we all know, the physical, emotional is all linked together. It's actually all one, just different parts of the scale. So on the emotional level, we hold a lot of hurts, trauma in our womb space. Womb trauma can look like infertility, miscarriage, hysterectomy, stillbirth, any sort of pelvic surgery, the loss of a child. Womb trauma can also look like rape or sexual abuse. All of the emotions that go with all of those things we hold within our womb space. And while we've got all of that in there, it's overcrowding the space and blocking our creativity, which is what the womb space is for. It's our place for creation, whether that be a baby, a project, a life's ambition. That's what the space is for, not for holding on to hurts. So Yoni steaming can be a huge release, a huge emotional release, as well as helping with physical healing. And spiritually, it is reconnecting us to our place of creativity. Our wombs are not really places that we give an awful lot of thought to until they're malfunctioning. But it's a great thing to reconnect with the essence of our femininity. On to postpartum healing. So there has been a study done in the States recently, and it's called the 4th Trimester Vaginal Steam Study. So if you put that in, you'll find it really easily, or once this goes up, I can put a link to that in the comments. So I'm going to start with fundal height and width. So I printed this off. This was part of the study. Oh, perhaps I should say before, the study was half of the group were steamed for 5 days from day 4. Checks were done by midwives on day 4, day 8 and week 6. Week 6 is usually when we're signed off by the health visitor. You're fine to get on with your life now. So these studies are up to week 6, but they were only steamed for 5 consecutive days, and you can already see the huge difference. So this is the fundal height, the size of the uterus for both groups on day 4. And then, as you can see, the steam group on day 8, the steam group, the size of the uterus has shrunk enormously compared to the size of the control group who weren't steamed at all. And then we've got by week 6, the uterus has shrunk back down to its normal size and is tucked behind the pubic bone. Week 6 with the control group, almost back, not quite, but almost back. So this to me was one of the most striking findings from the study. Also healing and discomfort from having had stitches. So by day 4, both groups were equally as uncomfortable. By day 8, the steam group had no discomfort at all. The control group, their discomfort had gone down a little. I guess as the swelling is going down, you're going to be more comfortable. By 6 weeks, though, the control group was actually a little bit more uncomfortable than they were on day 8. But the steam group had no discomfort whatsoever, because the steam is keeping the skin supple around any tears, grazes, cuts, around the stitches. It's allowing scar tissue not to knit tight and pull and cause discomfort. It's just softly allowing the healing and the knitting together of that skin. In case it in case you're worried about using herbal steams on open wounds, it actually speeds up the healing, because all plants naturally have their own antibiotic, antimicrobial properties. That's the immune system of the plant. If you think about plants, they get broken, people walk on them, cut them, that's an open wound to the plant. So the plant needs something to be able to protect and heal itself from bacteria, from fungal spores, etc. So all we're doing is we're taking the plant's immune system and using it for ourselves. As far as general sort of bruising, grazing, discomfort goes, by day 8, 2/3 of the steam group had fully healed. By day 8, the entire control group was still in the healing process. Okay, so reduces the incidence of infection. I've just spoken to you about that. Blood pressure. The steam group had lower blood pressure from when they started steaming. The control group, their blood pressure actually went a little bit higher. Both levelled out to normal at the 6 weeks mark, but interesting that the steam group's blood pressure was lowered straight away. Because they were relaxed, they were giving themselves time to relax. They were doing something good for themselves to help with the healing. So just generally moving around, everyday stuff was a whole lot more comfortable for the steam group than for the control group. And just allowing yourself a little bit of time to absorb the massive life change that has just happened. So while steaming, that can be used as time just to process how you're doing. Is there anything that you're unsure about that maybe you need to speak to somebody about? Who do you speak to? It's just time for you to digest what's just happened. And it's massive, going from a pregnant lady maybe a week or so ago to a new mum, and all the hormonal changes, everything, the changes in your body, everything that goes with that. It would be a great thing to just give yourself a little bit of time every day just to acclimatise yourself and move into that. And maybe there would be less cases of postnatal depression if women were allowed to get used to being a new mum, instead of just straight away having to be back on your feet, coping, thinking about going back to work. A lot of pressure is put on us, and it doesn't need to be. And this is something, I think it's an amazing thing that will help all women postpartum. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. Thank you for listening if you've made it to the end. Any comments, any questions, I'm really happy to answer any of those. So just pop them in the comments, or as I said, message me. All right, bye for now.